Okay, let's see. Okay, so we're constructing a truth table for this guy. Okay, so that guy has to be our last column. Okay, so we always start with our P's and Q's. And then I look at what am I going to need? I'm going to need a non-P and a non-Q, so I do a column for both of those guys. And then I need the conjunction of non-P and non-Q, so I need a column there. Okay, and then obviously this Q, I have a column here, so we're good. Okay, so let's start it off the same way. My P's and Q's, they could both be true, or I could have a true P and a false Q, or I could have a false P and a true Q, or they could both be false. Okay, so this column right here is the negation of P. Okay, so I come over here to the P column and I just negate everything. So true becomes false, true becomes false, false becomes true, and false becomes true. All right, here I'm negating Q, so I have to come over here to this column and negate. True becomes false, false becomes true, true becomes false, false becomes true. Okay, so I have the conjunction of non-P and non-Q. So I have to take the conjunction of these two columns. So remember, conjunction is and. Okay, so for a conjunction to be true, they have to both be true. So they're not both true, so that's false. They're not both true, so that's false. They're not both true, so that's false. They are both true, so that's true. Okay. All right, now we get here and we have a disjunction of Q, this column right here, okay, and the conjunction of non-P and non-Q in this column right here. Okay, so I have a disjunction, so or, okay? So remember, for a disjunction to be true, I just need one or the other to be true. So true or false, that would be true. False or false, that would be false. True or false, that would be true. False or true, that would be true. Okay, and we're good. Okay. All right, so let's see. This guy's a little bit different than the last one we've been doing. It wants me to figure out whether or not these two statements are logically equivalent. Okay, so I have to compare these two at the end. So that's why I have a column for each one. So if these columns are the same, then they are definitely logically equivalent. If these columns are different, then they're not logically equivalent. Okay, so let's see. I need a P and a Q. Obviously, I'm going to need a non-P and a non-Q. I need the conjunction of P and Q from that guy, and then I have to negate it. Okay, so let's see what's going on. So let's see, my P's and Q's. I could have true and true, or I could have true and false. I could have false and true, or I could have false and false. Okay, so non-P, that means I have to negate this first column. All right, so true becomes false, true becomes false, false becomes true, false becomes true. Okay, non-Q, I have to negate this second column. So true becomes false, false becomes true, true becomes false, and false becomes true. Okay, here I have to take the conjunction of P and Q, so I have to use these two columns right here. Remember, a conjunction is and. So the only way a conjunction is true is if both of these are true. So they're both true, so that's true. They're not both true, so that's false. They're not both true, so that's false. And they're not both true, so that's false. Okay. Now this is the negation of the conjunction. So I have to negate this column right here. So I take this column, true becomes false, false becomes true, false becomes true, false becomes true. Okay. Now here I have a disjunction, so that's or. Okay. And notice I'm doing it with non-P and non-Q, so I have to use this column and this column. Now remember, or, okay, I just have to get one of these two to be true for the disjunction to be true. Okay, so if we look, false or false, that's false. False or true, I have one that's true, so that's true. True or false. Again, that's true because I have at least one that's true. True or true, obviously, that's true. So if we look here, notice they're the same. Okay, so that means that these two guys are logically equivalent. So logically equivalent. Okay, if these two columns were not exactly the same, then they would not be logically equivalent.